Alright, everybody, what is happening? Joelsuf coming your way. This is probably going to be just as involving or just as detailed a fantasy booking series as my one on the Nexus. I'm going to try to keep these videos short, but there's so much I want to do with Retribution that you're pretty much going to be hearing 3 podcasts about it. Like, that's just how it's going to be. I'm not going to write stuff down like I did with Nexus. I got stuff written in my notebook here. So I'm pretty much just, it's going to be like my last fantasy booking video. And the stuff I say in this fantasy booking video and the other ones, it's not going to intertwine. Like, you're not going to, there's not going to be anything like that. It's going to be completely independent from what my fantasy booking with Lexi Bliss and Bray Wyatt was. So, Retribution. I feel really bad for all the workers who are involved in this group in WWE because they got done dirty. Okay, so over the summer or earlier this year, 2020, before COVID started spreading, they had a guy who was like hacking into stuff on SmackDown and whatever, and they had like a chick join him and stuff like that, and they didn't know it was like 2 shadows in the dark. And people were theorizing about it. They were like, "Oh, this is a CM Punk return," or "Oh, this is whatever," or "Oh, maybe it's like a variation of the Nexus," and they weren't far off with that one. But it definitely wasn't CM Punk. But then COVID started spreading, so they couldn't do anything with it, stuff like that. Fast forward to the summer, and you start seeing guys running around, interrupting segments and matches, destroying stuff. And they called themselves Retribution. And originally, Retribution was 5 main individuals, and then, some jobbers and enhancement talent and, NXT trainees in the performance center destroying stuff. So these 5 guys were Dominic Dijakovic, Mercedes Martinez, Mia Yim, Shane Thorne, and Dio Madden. Okay, and then WWE decided to give them weird code names. Dominic Dijakovic was T-Bar, and was it Dio Madden or Shane Thorne who was Mace? One of them was Mace. One of those other 2 was Slapjack, which, what the fuck? I don't know what Mia Yim was. I think she was like Chastity or something. I don't know. And Mercedes Martinez, they wanted her to do some more NXT stuff, so they swapped her out for Mustafa Ali, who was confronted by the Hurt Business, and there was a segment between the Hurt Business and Retribution where the Hurt Business was surrounded by Retribution, and they were like, MVP was saying to Mustafa Ali, "Are you in? Are you going to join us?" And then Mustafa Ali goes up to Shane Thorne and Dio Madden and joins them, and so he was revealed as the leader of Retribution. We're going to talk about who the real leader of Retribution is. That's going to come in probably part 2 or probably very late in part 2. So, there are 3 goals I want to do with booking Retribution. First, I want to end the brand split. Like, completely just eliminate it from all WWE TV. Second, I want to make NXT part of the main roster. And as like a little side Easter egg thing, Mia Yim actually said that in a promo. I believe it was like about a year or so ago, before she entered a ladder match for the contract to face the NXT Ladies Champion, who I believe was Rhea Ripley at the time, something like that. I think it was like last fall, where Mia Yim said, watch this match, and it's going to prove that NXT is the main roster. So I want to kind of, bring that statement to life here. And third, and this is going to piss off a lot of fans, but I don't really care, it's going to be a storyline based around Randy Orton's desperation to win the WWE title at all costs. So, yes, Orton is going to be a part of this. And in fact, if you want like some spoilers, the final thing I'm going to have here, it's going to start from Hell in the Cell, which is tomorrow. Or it's today, because I'm recording this on Saturday and uploading it Sunday morning. So it's going to be from from Hell in the Cell until WrestleMania 37. And it's all going to end with a match between Randy Orton versus Mustafa Ali for the WWE title, the unified WWE title at WrestleMania 37. Because it was supposed to be Mustafa Ali against Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 35. And that's going to be also a very big, it's going to be a big component of the storyline with Retribution. So this part will cover Hell in the Cell up until Survivor Series. And then part 2 is going to have Survivor Series until Royal Rumble. And then part 3 is going to have the Royal Rumble until WrestleMania 37. Until, I guess, okay. So I believe, from what I've been hearing, WWE wants to do what AEW is doing, which is have very limited fans in the Amway Center. So I'm going to assume that that's going to take place when 2021 begins. So in part 2, we're going to see, like fan interactions and stuff like that, whatever. So, yeah. So other than that, all the shows I'm booking up until any given TV show of 2021 is going to have those the virtual fans, that kind of stuff. So, okay. So everything starts with Hell in the Cell, and of course other members are going to join Retribution. But however, Retribution is not going to be involved in any matches until Survivor Series 2020. They're just going to interrupt matches. They're just going to get involved in matches, and because they were signed under a contract, because someone from WWE offered them contracts, that's going to be another part of the storyline, and that's going to be revealed at the Go Home show before Survivor Series 2020, where they're going to be booked in matches. But for now, they're just going to get involved in matches, and they're going to help select good guys, select bad guys, that kind of stuff. So in Hell in the Cell, we have Lana versus Asuka, right? That's for the Raw Ladies title, I believe. That's going to be interrupted by an unnamed member, by a whole bunch of unnamed members of Retribution who are women. So they're going to beat both of those girls up. And I believe that Bray Wyatt has a match against all of Retribution. All the guy members of Retribution, right? So what's going to happen there is that match is not going to take place. Instead, it's going to be Bray Wyatt is just going to have like some weird segment. Or it's going to be Firefly Funhouse. It's going to be a Firefly Funhouse segment, and Retribution is going to crash the Firefly Funhouse segment. And they're all going to beat up Bray Wyatt. Mia Yim is going to kick Alexa Bliss's ass everywhere. She's going to just destroy Alexa Bliss. Like, it's going to be insane. And at the end of that promo, you're going to have Mustafa Ali saying, this is what Bray Wyatt wanted. And he's going to get it. We're going to attack him during Firefly Funhouse. We're not going to buy into his Fiend character anymore. We decided to... and it's going to be a lot of kayfabe breaking here, too. I'm going to do a lot of that, too. Mustafa says, we decided to sell what Bray Wyatt was doing to us. That ends now. That ends tonight. And whenever Bray Wyatt is involved in a match, Retribution will not be too far behind. So, there you go. And then, so we're going to have Roman Reigns versus, Jey Uso? Jey Uso, right? And during that match, Mustafa Ali and Mustafa Ali alone interrupts and helps Roman Reigns win. And Mustafa Ali is like looking at Roman Reigns like, yo, better remember what we did for you. Better remember what I did. We're gonna approach you later on. You better remember what we did. Give him that kind of look, you know what I mean? And then we have Orton versus McIntyre. And Orton's going to defeat McIntyre for the WWE title. And no one from Retribution is going to help Randy Orton. However, Lars Sullivan is going to help Randy Orton. And Orton, after winning the title, he's going to celebrate, but he's going to look kind of confused as he holds, the WWE title up for the 15th time. That's going to be his 15th title win. And he's just going to stare at Lars Sullivan and be like, and then look around for Retribution, who do come out, but they don't attack Orton. They attack McIntyre. And then while Retribution is beating up Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton escapes, and he runs into Lars Sullivan, who walks past Randy Orton, enters the cell, and joins Retribution in beating up Drew McIntyre. This makes Lars Sullivan a member of Retribution. As soon as Retribution started, appearing on WWE TV, I said to myself, Lars Sullivan needs to be part of that. Because who was done dirtier than Lars Sullivan? He got injured, and then, he got some dirt dug up on him, which there's dirt dug up on every wrestler, but for some reason, just Lars Sullivan just took the worst of it for some reason. And, that took 3 some odd years away from him competing, from him performing. I mean, take away the injury. I think he had an injury, right? And then he had to, recover, and then he had to, do some other stuff. But, so he's just as upset as Mustafa Ali. So, and then we have Bayley versus Banks. And I know at Hell in the Cell, Bayley is probably going to lose to Sasha Banks because it seems right. You know what I mean? Why they want Bayley to drop the title to Sasha Banks at a gimmick pay-per-view is anyone's guess. But we're going to have Bayley retain here. And just like with Lars Sullivan interrupting Orton versus McIntyre, we're going to have a woman who is not affiliated with Retribution interrupting this match, who will eventually join Retribution, and that woman is Toni Storm. Yes, Toni Storm. So instead of Mercedes Martinez, Toni Storm comes in, beats the crap out of Sasha Banks, just kind of stares Bayley down and just nods at her, as if to say, remember what we did here, remember what I did. We're gonna make sure that you're doing the right things for Retribution. And then Bayley, hits a Bayley to belly, pins Sasha, 1, 2, 3, Bayley retains the SmackDown Ladies title. And that either ends the show or the McIntyre and Orton match will end the show. One of those two. I don't know, whatever. Okay, so now during the TV shows before November, Retribution is going to interfere in all kinds of stuff. And more members are going to be added to them. More and more NXT guys, more and more NXT girls are going to reveal themselves. Toni Storm being one of them. Toni Storm and Lars Sullivan, and then you get you could throw in anyone from NXT, but it's all going to be NXT or people who would just come up from NXT, like Lars Sullivan or Toni Storm. Was Chelsea Green too, right? You have her. Don't watch NXT too much. One guy I really want to join Retribution is Finn Balor, because WWE has screwed the pooch hard on Finn Balor. He won the Universal Championship and dropped it the next day because of an injury. He hasn't even touched the WWE or NXT or Universal title since. That's got to be burning up a hole inside of him, right? He's going to join. So, and he'll join during like a McIntyre segment or whatever. During one Roman Reigns segment, Retribution comes out and they're going to be like, and Mustafa's going to be like, we did something. We helped you retain that title. You got two choices now. You can either accept our help and shake my hand and promise me that you'll defend that Universal title against me sometime down the road. Doesn't out. You can defend it against. You can settle your business with the Usos. After you've settled your business with the Usos, you're gonna have to do some business with me, with Mustafa Ali. And he's gonna say this to Orton on Raw, and regarding Orton's title, the WWE title, and he's gonna say it to Roman Reigns on SmackDown. And both of them are gonna be hesitant because neither of them want to really do business with Retribution. But when they when Mustafa Ali sees that they're about to say no or whatever, Mustafa kind of nods to Lars and says go get in his face for a little bit. Show him that you're the freak. Show him why they call you the freak, Lars Sullivan. And then Orton begrudgingly shakes Mustafa Ali's hand. And so does Roman Reigns. But with the Roman Reigns segment, we're gonna have Heyman get on the mic. And Heyman says, about 19 years ago, I did something like this called the Alliance. And trust me, it's not going to work out It's not going to work out in the long term. You're going to have people you're going to have moles. People are going to leave you for something much greater. And McMahon's a really good businessman. He knows how to sell people on a dream. One of you guys is going to leave. And one of you guys is going to leave, and it's going to and it's not going to be good for Retribution. Which Mustafa Ali says, we're going to worry about that when we need to worry about that. What you need to worry about is what you're going to do with Roman Reigns. Yeah. And then Roman, he takes a mic from Paul Heyman and he says, you know what? You're going to get your match as soon as I decisively defeat and excommunicate the Usos from the Tribal Chiefs family. And that's going to happen at Survivor Series. And then Roman makes a match where I don't know, you could have it be a handicap match where whichever one of the Uso brothers pins or submits Roman, wins the Universal title or something like that. I feel like in actuality, aside from fantasy, that's in reality that's actually going to happen at Survivor Series. I feel like that's going to happen because Jimmy Uso, I think, is recovered from injury. So I don't know. So yeah. So and then on the November 9th edition of Raw, Orton comes out and he says, you know what? Retribution has a point. And yeah, I injured Mustafa Ali about a year and some change ago, a little bit under 2 years ago, but that was just business. And I think Mustafa Ali knows that. And if I want this title to remain around my waist, I know that I need Retribution. And Retribution, I think, needs me. And Mustafa and Retribution comes out. Mustafa's going to be the mouthpiece because he's better on the mic than everyone else in Retribution. And Mustafa Ali says, you know what? I forgive you for what you did because you were, and he says to Orton, you were right. You were just doing business. You weren't, that wasn't personal. The personal thing was what happened after, which is removing me from Elimination Chamber 2019 so that I could get a shot at the title at WrestleMania 35. Who did they give that to? Kofi Kingston. And so Mustafa calls out the New Day. And he says to Kofi, he says, you need to let the public know right now. You need to let the WWE Universe know right now that your title win at WrestleMania 35, it wasn't you winning the title. You were substituting for me. And Kofi says, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that because I deserve this opportunity as much, if not more, than you. Kofi says, you know what, I waited 11 years. How long did you wait? You were on just 205 Live. And you were tearing it up in 205 Live, but for how long? What, a couple of years? 1, 2, 3 years? And then like Kofi says, you know what, I'm a year younger than Randy Orton. You're 10 years younger than us. I don't know how old Mustafa Ali is. It's got to be like early 30s or something like that. So Kofi says, and he says like, I'm not going to apologize to you. And if that means that Retribution, and apparently Randy Orton now, who joined Retribution, is going to beat me down, so go ahead. So go ahead and beat me down. Go ahead, do what you have to do. And then Retribution just beats the bejesus out of the New Day. And from out the back in his street clothes, Big E comes out and tries to help, even though he's supposed to be on SmackDown. He comes out on Raw because it's all in the same building anyways. It's in the Amway Center. So they all just hang out. You know, you can imagine the SmackDown guys are out hanging out and catering and watching and hanging out and, you know, whatever, while, you know, and that kind of stuff. But we have to sell the fact that, the brand split, oh my god, the SmackDown guys coming to Raw, you know. Big E tries to help, and Retribution, plus Randy Orton, because now Randy Orton has joined the Retribution, has completely annihilated them. A little bit after that segment, Vince McMahon comes out, and he says, okay, the brand split, I declare the brand split null and void, gone. From now on, there is no brand split, there's no Raw brand, there's no SmackDown brand. It's all WWE, and we want to make sure that Retribution learns a lesson about what they have done. And he says to Mustafa, it talks about Mustafa Ali. He says, you know what? Here's the reason why I didn't want to book Mustafa Ali to win the WWE title at WrestleMania 35. That's because 15 or so years ago, I tried to do the same thing with a guy named Muhammad Hassan. And yes, McMahon himself actually mentions Muhammad Hassan. He says, oh, you know, I know Muhammad Hassan was just a character, and the real guy who played is Mark Capani, and he's doing really well now, but that makes no difference. I'm not going to let someone named Mustafa Ali win the WWE title. There is no chance in hell, you know, that kind of stuff. And he says, because it's too big of a risk. And then Retribution comes out, and he surrounds Vince McMahon, and Orton too surrounds Vince McMahon. And Orton says, you already took a big risk when you allowed anybody to buy any kind of amount of shares in your company. Because one of the people who owns the most shares, who's a top shareholder, they don't work in Connecticut. They work in the ring. And that man is Randy Orton. And it's revealed that Randy Orton created the contracts with his buying power in the company. Yeah, it's like TNA 2010, but I don't care. Simple explanation, though, and a realistic one, too. Because Randy Orton's made a lot of money in the last 20 some odd years. You don't know. You could have been saving and investing it, and probably owns a lot of good stuff, and probably has some stake in WWE's shares. This way he can, you know, call the place that he works an investment in himself, right? You know, is that too far-fetched? You know? And Orton says, look, it wasn't just me who made the contracts for all of Retribution to sign. Anyone who wanted to join to sign. No. I had a sponsor. And you're going to learn who that sponsor is when I say you can learn who he is. but I'm going to keep this a secret for now. And McMahon says, if they're under contract, that means they can be in matches, right? And Orton goes, yeah, they can be in matches. I mean, they can do whatever they want in these matches. You're not going to be able to stop them unless you want a whole bunch of referees being on the injured list. And you'll have to get performers to be referees. And then Retribution is going to beat them down too. And then Ali comes in. And he says, you know what, McMahon? There's a lot more of us than you think. And going into 2021, I'll guarantee that at least 1/3 of WWE's roster is Retribution. And there's nothing you can do to stop us because we're all contracted performers here. And because you don't like it when performers go elsewhere and you like to believe in stupid shit like no compete clauses and not being able to go on other platforms and imply their trade there, platforms like YouTube and Twitch and stuff, you're going to have a very hard time dealing with us. You're also going to have a very hard time dealing with us because there are guys who have worked with you for close to a decade, over a decade, who don't agree with your ways. One of them owns a very popular YouTube channel that revolves around exercise and working out and bodybuilding. You wanted to book him really quick to the moon, just like with Drew McIntyre. But he's sick of being a stereotype. And allow me to introduce him. And out comes Sheamus. Yes, we're going to have Sheamus as part of Retribution. And this is where Retribution now goes from just NXT guys to anybody. Anybody can join, and it's going to be very, 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 very advantageous for anybody to join. A great incentive for anybody on WWE's roster to join Retribution. And yes, and we're going to have Mustafa Ali talk about all the things that a lot of us fans complain about. And even politicians like Andrew Yang talking about, we're independent contractors, but you want us to stay on WWE only. We have a big problem with that. And that's going to be Retribution's, that's going to be their thing, you know what I mean? For the first half of this, until 2021 begins. Then it's going to break down like all the other bad guy groups break down. And it's a natural progression, really. Most of these things, the Alliance in 2001, Nexus in 2010, 2011, the Shield 2012 to 2014 are given about 8 to 18 months of shelf life, and then because it has to, because it can't be like that forever. NWO in WCW was kind of proof that 2 years is pretty much the max for this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So, but before then, you're gonna have a lot of people joining Retribution. And then you're going to have Finn Balor come out. It's going to be a pretty long segment, like about a half-hour long segment, saying, and he says, I won the Universal title. You wanted to push me. I'm 190 pounds. And you still had faith in me. What happened after that? I had my little time in the spotlight, and what? Now it's over? Balor goes, you know what? I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that I couldn't mention the Bullet Club. He even mentioned the Bullet Club. And he says, I didn't like the fact that you needed me to beat Finn Balor instead of Prince Devitt. I don't like the fact that I couldn't make a group with my buddies, AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson, and call ourselves the Bullet Club. Why didn't you want that, Vince? McMahon says, it's not my interest. And then Ali says, you know what? You're not in our interest. So now you're gonna have to face Retribution. And McMahon says, look, I get it. I did all of you wrong. What can I do? What can we do about it? What can we do? What can we do to solve this? Don't hurt me. I'm in my 70s. And Mustafa Ali says, give us title shots. Give Shane Thorne and Dio Madden tag team match against the New Day at Survivor Series. And then Mustafa, and yeah, it's Ali. It's all Ali saying this now. So Mustafa also says, as for me, I'm gonna wait for my title shot. But we got Royal Rumble coming up January. I know we're thinking 3 months in advance, but I don't care. Put me in the 30 spot for that. And McMahon says, you got it, all day. You got it. And then he says, you can give either Lars Sullivan or give Lars Sullivan a U.S. title shot against MVP. McMahon says, yep, do it. Done. And then he says, give Dominik Dijakovic an IC title match against, who's the IC title? Sami Zayn or Jeff Hardy? I don't know, one of those two. Whoever has the IC title in Survivor Series. McMahon says, all done, don't attack me. Please don't attack me. And then Mustafa Ali also says, oh yeah, the ladies' titles. They're going to get put around some wastes, some Retribution wastes as well. Toni Storm against Asuka. Mia Yim against Bayley or Banks, whoever has the ladies' titles at Survivor Series. And McMahon says, yeah, that's fine. Absolutely fine. So there you go. So yeah, so that's going to be... That's going to be all the stuff. That's going to set the stage for Retribution completely taking over at Survivor Series. It's different from what I wrote down, but I just did it off the cuff. Alright, cool. Alright, so now on either Raw Talk or Talking Smack, one of those two, it makes no difference. They bring out Mustafa Ali and Randy Orton, who are now they're almost like the co-leaders of Retribution. Very similar to Aces and Eights in TNA Wrestling, where it was the Dudley brothers who were the leaders of Aces and Eights. It's a similar dynamic here with Mustafa Ali and Randy Orton. And you could see Truth and Caruso being really apprehensive to ask Ali and Orton stuff, and one of them says, no, nothing's gonna happen to you. You did not cause. You had nothing to do with how we were mistreated. So don't worry. Ask your questions. And Chana Caruso says, she asks what's gonna happen if all of your members win the titles at Survivor Series? And Mustafa Ali says, I don't know. We might just change the name of World Wrestling Entertainment. It might just be called World Wrestling Retribution. And Orton goes, you know what? I like that. WWRKO. And Mustafa Ali says, yeah, that has a decent ring to it, I suppose. Unless it's Retribution KO, right? And Randy goes, yeah, of course, yeah. And then they ask Randy Orton how come he joined Retribution, and Orton goes, you know what? I want to beat Ric Flair's title wins. I want to be the first guy to win the WWE title or any major company title 17 times. I actually want to go for 20. And Orton goes, you know what? I want to actually go for 25. And Orton says, you know what? With Ali here, with Mustafa Ali and Retribution behind my back, no one can stop me, because I could just challenge them for the title, lose to them, win the title back from them at my beck and call, and they will not mind the opportunity. And then Orton goes, you know what? Dominik Dijakovic wouldn't mind that opportunity, would he? But he was never given it, but we're going to give it to him. So yeah. And then Drew McIntyre comes out, and he says to Orton, he says, you know what? I can't believe you've gotten this low. I thought you were doing low stuff by attacking all the legends. This is a brand new low. And Orton goes, "You were around when I was part of Legacy. It was your first. It was like one of your first years, your second year in WWE, when I made Legacy. Did you expect anything different?" And McIntyre goes, "You know what? That's a miscalculation on my part." And McIntyre says, "You know what? I know I can't really challenge you for the WWE title because I've already had too many matches with you. But how about if I face Mustafa Ali for that title? And you know he wants it." And Mustafa and Orton just kind of look at each other, and they say, and just nothing. It's just complete silence as the show goes off the air. So there you go. We're gonna have a couple of other people joining Retribution. One of them being Seth Rollins. Yes, that's going to happen. Seth Rollins, and actually not even no, not Seth Rollins. Actually, yeah, Seth Rollins. So we're gonna have, like during one of the TV shows, it's gonna have Seth Rollins, and instead of against Mysterio's family, it's just gonna be a program between him and Murphy and Bud Murphy. And during one of those matches, Retribution comes out and helps Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins gladly accepts the help. Only he's going to get kicked out of Retribution pretty quickly because he starts, lecturing Retribution about like how oh, you're cleansing WWE and that's a great thing, and I can help you, and here's how, he does that and stuff like that, and then like Retribution just says, "Yeah, you don't need it anymore," and then he just kicks Seth Rollins out of Retribution. That's going to bring Seth Rollins to approach the Mysterio family and say, "Look, I did not treat any of you right. Retribution is threatening to take our livelihoods because if they win all those titles at Survivor Series, they're going to be running everything." And Rollins actually gets on his knees in front of the Mysterio family and he says, "I'm looking to you for guidance because the Messiah has lost his way." And of course, the first one to feign some forgiveness is Aaliyah Mysterio, and she says, "Oh, you know what? You have a point, but can we really trust you?" And Rey Mysterio, his eye is fine now. That whole one of them, that's so weird and it's dumb, and he should just recover from it because he has, obviously. And Rey Mysterio goes, "How about this? How about you team up with my son, you and Dominic, against Dio Madden and Shane Thorne. If you two can defeat those guys, if you two can defeat those two, and you show me that, and if you can prove to me that my son can trust you, then that means I can trust you, and that means you can be part of the Mysterio family." So that's going to be a good guy turn for Seth Rollins. I love the Messiah gimmick, but it has no direction. It's just him versus the Mysterio family. I'd rather have him join the Mysterio family to defeat a common enemy. That common enemy being Retribution. So they have a match against Dio Madden and Shane Thorne, and they beat Dio Madden and Shane Thorne, even with Retribution. With the rest of Retribution coming out and beating them up and ruining stuff. Makes no difference. So yeah. So there you go. Okay. So now you have Survivor Series 2020. And here it's real simple. Retribution wins all their title matches. Or retains. So yeah. So what? So Orton retains against whoever challenges him. Probably Jeff Hardy or something like that. Yeah, we'll say Jeff Hardy. Oh, the ladies' tag team title match. I forgot about that. So the Riot Squad, before Survivor Series, at the Go Home show, we'll say, before Survivor Series, the Riot Squad got approached by Retribution, by the ladies of Retribution. and whoever they may be. So Mia Yim, Tony Storm, and anyone else you can throw in there. And they say, you two have been done real dirty by WWE. All we want to do is help you. That's all we want to do is help you. And look, Mustafa was able to get you two booked in a tag title match against Shayna and Nia, who are still the title, who still have the title. All you got to do to make sure that y'all two have titles around your waist is to join Retribution. And so the Riot Squad shake their hand, and now the Riot Squad is part of Retribution. So Riot Squad beat they win the tag team titles, the ladies tag titles. Dio Madden and Shane Thorne, they win and all these titles are now unified, by the way. Or we're gonna have a unification match, but it's not gonna be. And for the tag titles, it's all unified. So yeah, just at Survivor Series, Retribution wins everything. And the last match is for the Universal title. And that is with, of course, Roman Reigns against the Usos. If the Usos get a pinfall, whichever Uso gets the pinfall wins the title. And it's going to set up another storyline where Roman Reigns, is starting to turn good again because now he's so bad he's good. You know what I mean? If there was live audiences, they'd be cheering for him like crazy because he's just a badass, awesome, ass-kicking asshole. And fans love that more than the cringe-tastic good guy who says suffering succotash, son. You know what I mean? So Reigns is going to be a good guy anyways, but now he's going to be good and he's going to be over with the audience. And so during that match, Retribution comes out and they interfere and stuff, and they help Jimmy Uso win the Universal Championship title against Roman Reigns. And Retribution, alongside Jimmy Uso, beat the bejesus out of Roman, out of Jay, out of Paul Heyman. And at the end of Survivor Series 2020, you see everyone from Retribution holding up their titles. You see Mia Yim holding up her SmackDown title that she won against whoever had that title, Bayley, Banks, whoever. You see Toni Storm holding up her ladies title against whoever had it. You see Dio Madden and Shane Thorne holding up their unified tag team titles. You see Randy Orton holding up his WWE title. You see Jimmy Uso holding up the Universal title. And then lights go out again. And then you hear, "Let me in." And now the Fiend Bray Wyatt comes out. And he was injured all the way back before, or at Hell in the Cell, when he got beat up during Firefly Funhouse. Him and Lexi Bliss come out, and then a whole bunch of other WWE people come out who haven't joined Retribution yet, and massive brawl between WWE's talent, or WWE's roster, who have not joined Retribution, and Retribution themselves, and that ends Survivor Series 2020, and this ends part 1 of booking Retribution. Hang on to all the clothes in your body, because part 2 and part 3 are going to be even crazier than what you just heard here. So I hope you enjoyed the video. All of this is off the cuff. I just had a bunch of notes to go by. Don't know when the next one's going to come out. Maybe, I don't know. I need to script it out, and that usually takes a good day of concentrated, effort. A good hour it took me to script this. So, and even then I changed some of it because it was really weird. Yeah. And of course, for Survivor Series, there was also 5-on-5 stuff with the whatever. But I wanted it to be all about Retribution having all the WWE gold. Um, Part 2 is going to come out probably sometime in November because there's a lot of work I have to make up for, and as fun as it is making these videos, they don't pay me. Doing the stuff that pays me. So, and also like I haven't been able to take days off because I can't because I have more work to do. So I think by November I'll be at a normal schedule again when it comes to work, and I'll be able to make a nice script for part 2 of Fantasy Booking Retribution. Until then, take care. Thanks for watching, listening, and have a good one. Peace.